And Yo Gotti, Big Juke's brother, sure continued the retaliation cycle and ended the man who killed his brother. However, Gotti didn't expect the feds to come after him, and word is that the feds have enough evidence to keep him locked up forever. The man behind the curtain. There's a specific kind of power that operates best in shadow. Not the power of the stage, not the power of platinum records or billboard charts or sold-out arenas, but the quieter, heavier kind. The kind that moves things without ever appearing to move. The kind that makes decisions that other people have to live with or die from. Anthony Mims was that kind of power. You have heard his name. You know him as Big Juke, older brother to Mario Mims. The man the world knows as Yo Gotti, one of the most commercially successful rappers Memphis has ever produced. Big Juke was a central figure at collective music group CMG. The label Yo Gotti built into a genuine industry force, home to artists like Moneybagg Yo, Glorilla, and YesDG. His exact title at the label was never officially defined. He wasn't the one on stage. He wasn't the one dropping albums or doing press runs. He was the one in the room when the real conversations happened. The talent scout, the project manager, the man whose Instagram page was wall-to-wall CMG promotion, always present, always involved, always close to the center of everything. He was 47 years old when they killed him, and the story of how he died cannot be told without first understanding the story of how he lived. Specifically, how he allegedly used the power and the resources of one of Memphis's most powerful music operations to wage a private war against a man who had simply refused to join their team. That man was Young Dolph. The origin of the CMG PR feud stretches back to 2014 when Young Dolph, Adolph Thornton Jr., publicly disclosed that he had turned down an offer to sign with CMG. Dolph had built Paper Route Empire with his own money, reportedly $3 million of personal investment, and he was not interested in surrendering ownership of what he built to anybody, no matter how attractive the offer. He had gone into a studio with Gotti, heard the pitch firsthand, and walked away. But the way he walked away and what Gotti said in that room before he did planted the seed of a grudge that would take years to fully bloom and cost multiple people their lives before it was finished. Dolph described Gotti clearing the entire room to speak with him one-on-one, then proceeding to talk down about his own signed artist, Zilla Starito, throwing him under the bus as a sales tactic, essentially saying, "Those guys needed babysitting, but you're different. You're built for this." To Dolph, that moment of betrayal toward Gotti's own artist was a red alert that told him everything he needed to know about the man he was dealing with. He said no. He kept Paper Route Empire, and Gotti, according to Dolph, kept texting for 2 years trying to change his mind. Memphis, though, is a small city, a city where independence reads as defiance, where saying no to the wrong person in the wrong room carries consequences that have nothing to do with music. By 2016, the quiet rejection had publicly exploded. Dolph released his debut album, King of Memphis, on the same day as Gotti's The Art Hustle. The title itself, a direct territorial challenge to Gotti's self-proclaimed reign over the city. That same month, CMG artist Black Youngsta showed up in Dolph's South Memphis neighborhood with an armed crew looking for him. The diss tracks came, the social media wars came, and then in February 2017, Dolph released Play With Yo _, a vicious personal full-scale assault that went directly after Gotti that mocked him, that put lookalike in a music video, and humiliated him in front of the entire rap world. Crucially and fatally, it also went after Big Juke by name. Trap Lord Ross, one of the most thorough documentarians of this entire saga, described the track as devastating, not just musically, but personally. A public humiliation aimed at the heart of CMG's inner circle. For a man like Big Juke, who operated in the shadows, who wielded real-world power, who was by all accounts a genuine figure in the Memphis street hierarchy, being publicly dragged in a rap video was not something that got laughed off. It was something that demanded a response. In February 2017, 25 days after the diss track dropped, Dolph's bulletproof SUV was struck with over 100 rounds in Charlotte, North Carolina during CA weekend. Black Youngsta and 2 associates were charged with discharging a weapon into occupied property. The charges against Youngsta were eventually dropped. Dolph walked away because his truck was bulletproof. He went and performed his show that same night and turned the entire experience into an album called Bulletproof. 7 months later, in September 2017, Dolph was shot outside the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel in Los Angeles. Both Gotti's entourage and Dolph were at the same hotel. LAPD cleared Gotti as a person of interest. A Gotti associate named Corey McClendon was arrested for attempted murder and then released without charges. Big Juke was in the background of all of it, not charged, not named in any of these incidents directly, operating exactly the way powerful men who operate in shadow are supposed to, present in the consequences, invisible in the causation. And the whole time, according to what would later come out in court, he was building towards something far more permanent than a drive-by shooting or a botched attempt in Los Angeles. He was allegedly building toward a contract killing. And according to prosecutors, the list of people he put prices didn't stop at young Dolph. Court documents allege that Big Juke had placed bounties on virtually the entire Paper Route Empire roster. $100,000 on Dolph, $50,000 on Key Glock, $50,000 on PR Wu, $20,000 on Snoopy Bands, $5,000 on Moochie Grape, a complete hit list, an entire independent label priced out for elimination. The internet reacted to that list with a kind of stunned fury. Fans of Paper Route Empire flooded social media with one message: protect Key Glock at all costs. Because Key Glock, young Dolph's cousin, his protege, the second most important artist on PR, had a $50,000 price on his head and had no idea how close the danger had apparently been. Big Juke's final Instagram post came on January 12, 2024. The caption read, "They don't want to face you. They want to snake you. Stay alert, too. Stay alive. Watch your back at all times." He posted it the day before someone shot him in a parking lot outside a funeral in front of his mother. The man who allegedly built a machine of violence against an entire label never saw a courtroom. He died before any of it caught up with him legally, but the streets moved faster than the courts always do. The $100,000 testimony. On November 17th, 2021, at Makida's Homemade Butter Cookies, young Dolph had been running Thanksgiving turkey giveaways through the neighborhood in South Memphis. The kind of community giving that defined who he was as a person, returning to the city that made him being visible and accessible in a way that people who understand where they came from tend to be. He stopped at Makida. A stolen white Mercedes-Benz pulled up, 2 men stepped out, 22 gunshot wounds. Head, neck, torso, extremities. The attack was captured on surveillance cameras. Young Dolph was killed almost instantly in the place he loved most. Among the people he had spent his entire career trying to lift up, the people closest to him received the news in the way catastrophic news always arrives. Without preparation, without mercy, Key Glock was at home when the call came through. He described hearing the tone in someone's voice before the words even came. That specific frequency of someone calling your name when something is wrong, when the world has already shifted underneath you, and they're just now telling you about it. Weeks later asked how he was holding up. Kalak had one-word content. Not better, not worse. Just here. That grief is the emotional weight that sits underneath everything that followed. But the legal process was already moving, and it was moving toward a courtroom that would eventually force the man allegedly at the center of all of this Big Juke into the conversation in the most public and damning way possible. In January 2022, Justin Johnson, a rapper recording under the name Straight Drop, and Cornelia Smith were arrested as the two shooters. Hernandez Gone was charged as the alleged organizer of the murder. Justin's half-brother, Jarkus Johnson, was charged as an accessory. For people, one dead man. And for 2 years, the question of who ordered the hit remained publicly unanswered, a name everyone in Memphis apparently knew, but that hadn't yet been spoken in a courtroom. In September 2024, Justin Johnson's trial finally began, and the man who answered that question was Cornelia Smith. Smith had pleaded guilty to first-degree murder just before the trial started. In exchange for cooperating with prosecutors against Johnson, he took the witness stand and described everything, every meeting, every conversation, every movement on the day of the murder, and at the center of his testimony was Big Juke. Smith testified that Big Juke had placed a $100,000 bounty on young Dolph's life. He said that Hernandez Gone, the alleged middleman, had brought both Smith and Johnson into plan, relaying Big Juke's instructions and promise of payment. The money was to be divided as follows: $40,000 each for Smith and Johnson as the shooters, $20,000 for Govan as a broker. Shelby County Deputy District Attorney Paul Hager-Manaman alleged in his opening statements that Big Juke had offered Johnson something beyond the money, a path into CMG itself. The proposition, as prosecutors framed it: kill Dolph, eliminate the rival label's biggest name, and earn a recording deal with CMG as a reward. Career advancement purchased with another man's blood. Justin Johnson had aspired to be a rapper. He had reportedly been invited to Atlanta by Big Juke and gone for conversations about his music career. And somewhere in those conversations, according to prosecutors, a murder contract was born. Smith described how he and Johnson tracked Dolph's movements during the Thanksgiving giveaway period, knowing he would be out in the community without heavy security. They spotted his vehicle, followed it to Makida's Cookies, and moved in. Smith confirmed he fired first, armed with a semi-automatic rifle, while Johnson used a handgun. He identified himself in the surveillance footage. He confirmed their escape in the stolen Mercedes, the changing of clothes in an apartment complex, the attempted destruction of the vehicle afterward, and then, under cross-examination, Smith admitted something that stopped the courtroom. The murder happened on his daughter's birthday. He acknowledged it, said he did it for the money, said it was supposed to be a financially beautiful day for his family. After the shooting, Smith began trying to collect what he had been promised. He reached out to Johnson repeatedly. The conversations went through Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, who had taken possession of Justin's phone after the murder to help construct alibis and control communications. Smith didn't know this at first. He thought he was talking to Justin directly. What he received for his trouble was this: $500 tucked inside a letter handed to an old woman at a front door. Then a few days later, another delivery arranged through intermediaries collected by Smith's girlfriend on a street corner. Both parties masked so neither could be identified. $800 total. That is what was paid for the life of a man who had built a $100 million empire on his own terms, who had turned down $12 million label deals because he knew his own value, $800. But the payment details were not the most explosive part of Smith's cross-examination. Under questioning from Johnson's defense attorney, Luke Evans, Smith admitted that $50,000 in legal fees had been paid on his behalf by someone connected to CMG after his arrest. He could not name exactly who arranged it. The money did not pass through his hands directly, but it went to his lawyer, and it came from the CMG side. Evans pressed the implication directly that the payment was compensation for services already rendered. Smith maintained he was testifying to get off his chest. He knew he was going to prison regardless. The conscience, he said, eventually speaks. The defense challenged his credibility throughout, pointing out that he lied to police initially, that he had personal incentive to minimize his own role in exchange for a reduced sentence, that some of his account contained inconsistency. Johnson's attorney, Luke Evans, denied his client's involvement, arguing the physical evidence, clothing descriptions, surveillance footage was largely circumstantial. The jury disagreed with the defense in under 4 hours. Music manager Whack 100 wasn't waiting for a jury verdict to warn Yo Gotti about where this was all heading. He took to social media and told Gotti directly to say his prayers, speculating that prosecutors could designate CMG as a criminal gang and pursue RICO charges, drawing lines from the 2017 Charlotte shooting all the way through to the Makitas murder. No federal indictment has materialized publicly, but the fact that a major music industry figure felt comfortable making that prediction out loud on the record tells you everything about how the testimony had shifted the public conversation. Gotti has not issued a single public statement addressing any of the allegations. CMG has not commented. Every attempt by press outlets to reach the label for response during the trial went unanswered. The silence is complete. Meanwhile, the man at the center of all of it, the man whose name was spoken in open court, whose alleged bounty list was circulating across every platform in hip-hop, who prosecutors say built and financed the entire murder plot, was already dead. Big Juke had been shot 9 months before Justin Johnson's trial began. And the story of how that happened is the darkest chapter of everything. The parking lot, the prison sentence, and the end of it all. On January 13th, 2024, it was a repass. The gathering held after a funeral, the food and the family in the morning that follows the ceremony at Pernian's restaurant and event center on Winchester Road. The man being buried was Eric Boven, described as a relative of the Mims family, a former Memphis cocaine kingpin. Anthony Mims, Big Juke, was there. His mother was there. Yo Gotti had reportedly just left the gathering before it happened. At approximately 4:15 in the afternoon, shots were fired in the parking lot. A Memphis police officer in the area heard them and responded. 2 victims were found with multiple gunshot wounds. The second victim survived, airlifted to Regional 1 Health in critical condition. Big Juke was pronounced dead at the hospital. Police released images of a white Ford Explorer with dark-tinted windows and black wheels. The suspect's getaway vehicle captured on surveillance. Witnesses confirmed they saw the SUV speeding away immediately after shooting. The footage of Big Juke bleeding out in that parking lot spread across social media within hours, just as the surveillance footage of Makitas Cookies had spread after Dolph was killed. Both men murdered on camera. Both deaths played out in front of the whole world in real time. Trap Laura Ross, who had been documenting this entire saga for years, addressed the brutal symmetry of it directly. That irony is not casual. Dolph had been killed in broad daylight on camera, in a place he frequented. Big Juke allegedly helped engineer that death. And then Big Juke was killed in broad daylight on camera, at a place his family had gathered to mourn someone else. The mechanics of the violence were nearly identical. The cameras caught everything both times. Known Big Juke personally genuinely in the way people who have actual relationships mourn with specific details and real feeling, not the performative social media grieving that follows celebrity deaths. 13. He had spoken to Big Juke just 5 days before the shooting. They had been working on music together, a verse, a collaboration in progress, cut short by a parking lot on a Sunday afternoon. When the news hit, Boozie's first call was to a CMG artist he was close with, and his message was straightforward. Get out of Memphis. Stop going back. Your little girl needs you. The city is not safe for anyone connected to the situation right now. As of the most recent available reporting, Big Juke's murder remains completely unsolved. No arrests, no suspects publicly named. The Memphis Police Department has listed the investigation as ongoing. No official statement has ever confirmed a connection between his killing and the young Dolph case. But in a city as tight and as small as Memphis, the unofficial reading of events has never been seriously disputed by anyone paying close attention. The security posture at Big Juke's own funeral said everything. Helicopters in the air, snipers positioned on the rooftops surrounding the funeral home. Nothing happening anywhere else in Memphis that day. All of it concentrated around one building, one family, one set of people who have been at the center of this war from the very beginning. That is what the city looked like in the aftermath of all of this. A place so saturated with the consequences of violence that even a funeral required a military-level security operation just to get through safely. Now, fast forward September 26, 2024. Shelby County Criminal Court, Memphis, Tennessee. Justin Johnson straight drop. The man who had allegedly been promised a CMG recording deal in exchange for a murder sat at the defense table. The jury had been deliberating for less than 4 hours. Guilty on every count. First-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, felon in possession of firearm. Judge Jennifer Mitchell imposed an automatic life sentence without the possibility of parole on the murder conviction. The man who had walked into Makida's Cookies and fired his weapon at young Dolph would never leave prison as a free man. Goodbye forever. The sentencing continued beyond that single day. On November 1st, 2024, Judge Mitchell returned to impose additional consecutive time. 35 years for conspiracy charge, 15 more years for firearm possession charge, both to be served on top of the life sentence already locked in, life plus 50 years behind it. The recording deal that was allegedly dangled as a prize, a career at CMG, a platform of future music, turned into a concrete cell in a Tennessee state prison instead. Johnson's attorney filed a motion for a new trial on October 30th, 2024, arguing issues with evidence and testimony credibility. Judge Mitchell denied it on January 14th, 2025. The door is closed. His attorney has indicated plans to pursue an appeal, but no formal filing has been reported. The others caught in the wake of this catastrophe have faced varying degrees of consequence. Jan Marcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, the man who took Justin's phone after the murder, managed communications, helped orchestrate alibis, and facilitated the movement of money, pleaded guilty to 3 counts of accessory after fact. In November 2024, Judge Mitchell sentenced him to a 6-year diversion program, rather than the up to 12 years in prison his charges carried. Community service, random drug screens, no firearms, parenting classes, and career development courses. If he completes the program without violations, the charges are dismissed and expuned. A second chance built on the back of the testimony he gave against his own brother, Cornelius Smith, the first shooter, the cooperating witness, the man who received $800 for his role in one of the most high-profile murders in Memphis history, awaits his own legal resolution. No firm trial date has been publicly announced. No plea agreement has been made public. His future hinges on whatever deal prosecutors are willing to offer in exchange for testimony that has already been delivered and already sent another man to prison for life. And then there is Hernandez Gone, the alleged middleman, the man prosecutors say received Big Juke's order and turned it into an operational plan, recruiting the shooters and brokering the entire arrangement. Gone rejected multiple plea deals, including one as recently as July 2025, and his trial was scheduled for August 18th, 2025, having already been delayed from March 2025, then from July 28th, 2025. He has maintained a not guilty plea throughout. He is out on $90,000 bond. If convicted on the murder charge, he faces life in prison. What makes Gone's case particularly notable right now is what happened in late July 2025. Judge Mitchell placed all of the pretrial motions, all state responses, and all judicial rulings in his case under seal, meaning the public cannot see any of them. The reason for the seal has not been disclosed. It may involve protected witnesses, sensitive investigative material, or information that could compromise other ongoing proceedings. Something in those documents was considered too sensitive to let the public read. What that something is, nobody outside that courtroom is saying. This story is not finished. And through all of it, the trial, the bounty list, the $50,000 legal fee revelation, the testimony connecting his brother to a murder for hire scheme, the warnings from music industry, insiders about potential Rachel investigations. Yo Gotti has not said a single public word. CMG has not issued any statement. The label and the man who built it have maintained a silence so complete and so sustained that it has itself become a statement. No charges against Yodi, no federal indictment, no Rachel filing, no public designation as a person of interest in any of this. That is the factual record as it stands. What the sealed documents in Gone's case might eventually reveal, nobody knows yet. What we do know is this: a man who allegedly operated in the shadows for years, who wielded power without a title, who put prices on the heads of rappers as though they were bounty targets in a video game. That man died in a parking lot outside a funeral before he ever had to answer for any of it in a court of law. The man he allegedly hired to pull the trigger is now serving life plus 50 years in a Tennessee state prison, having never recorded a single song for the label he was supposedly promised. The man who allegedly brokered the deal between them is still awaiting trial with a judge sealing the evidence and the public locked out of whatever is coming next. And Big Juke's own murder remains unsolved. The white Ford Explorer long since disappeared into the Memphis streets. The case file open. The suspects unknown. The investigation ongoing with no end in sight. Memphis keeps moving. Paper Route Empire keeps moving. Key Glock, the man who had a $50,000 price on his head and had to keep recording music and performing shows while all of this unfolded around him, released an album in May 2025 signed to Republic Records, honoring the legacy of his cousin and his label's founder in the only way that made sense for him to do it, by working. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like